In today's yoga class, we're going to be going through some movements to open up and balance our sacral chakra. So doing lots of hip opening work and releasing some of those stored emotions that may be harboring in this area of our body. So we'll go ahead and get started as usual in our cross-legged pose. Hands onto your knees, spine nice and tall, tucking the chin slightly in towards the chest. And just dropping into our body. So just taking a moment to notice how you're feeling today. Are there any emotions which are arising for you? Whether they be feelings of joy, comfort, frustration, anxiety, sadness. Just acknowledging what the body is holding, what the body's feeling, what's going on for you in your life at this very moment. Noticing if there's anything that you're resisting, anything you're choosing to not see. Send your breath all the way down into the space of your hips. Just notice if they feel tight or open. Noticing any feelings or sensations which arise in this area. Known as our seat of emotions, this is where we tend to energetically store a lot of things that we're holding onto, which can close our hips and create a feeling of tightness. Bringing your hands to your heart center, repeating to yourself, I honor and listen to my emotions. I honor and listen to my emotions. I honor and listen to my emotions. Gently opening the eyes, removing the bolster if you're sitting on it, and coming to sit onto your sit bones. Bringing your hands to your knees, we're just going to make some circles through the hips. So it might feel a bit funny at first, but we want to find some movement in this area. So I just want you to lean your body forward and then bend your right elbow and then move back, bending the left and moving in a clockwise direction to try and find a little bit of fluidity in this space of our body. Come around one more time. Closing the eyes, noticing any feelings of stiffness, and then coming back to center. And this time we're going to go the opposite direction for 3 rounds. Moving and opening through those hips. One more time. And then rising back up to center. Take your soles of your feet and bring them together. Supta Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose, taking the hands and wrapping them around the outsides of your feet, interlacing the fingers. If you need to, you can place the block underneath your knees if it feels better that way, or down one as well. Otherwise, if your hips are quite open, then allowing them to release out by your side, letting gravity do its work. With everything, we always want to try to make sure that our vertebrae aren't being compressed or our lower back's not being compressed like this. So try to pull the spine in, find your sit bones. If that means you need to move a little bit. Grow the spine nice and tall. Shoulders come back and down. Chest is moving through the front of my heart space. Closing the eyes down, reaching the crown of the head for the sky, and just start to flutter the legs. Just a very gentle, subtle movement. Just noticing the tightness or the openness of your hips. Staying here for a few more breaths. And then allowing the legs to settle. From here, taking the legs out wide. So as wide as you can. Once again, find your sit bones, if that means pulling the fleshy part of your bottom aside, making sure your knees are in line with your ankles, your feet are flexed, and I'm rotating my pelvis forward to have a nice tall back. If you want to use your block here, you can, placing it in front of you. So my hips are quite tight at the moment because I've been doing a lot of sitting down. So really pulling the toes in towards you, pressing the heels out, and noticing if your legs will naturally want to roll in, so pulling them back, right? Engaging through the thigh, lifting up, and like we do with our forward folds, I'm trying to lead from the heart, so rotating from my hips rather than rolling back into my spine. So inhaling to rise tall, and then exhaling, use the block to help you. You can place your wrists onto the block, bowing the head down. Let's stay here for a good 5 breaths. Really breathing in and out. Sending that breath to the space of the hips and the inner thighs, stretching our adductor muscles, creating length in the legs. Allow the head to drop down. Try to find relaxation in the upper part of the body. One more full inhale. Exhale as you walk the hands back towards your hips. Take the block away from you. Place the hands underneath the knees just to gently bring the legs together. Coming to all fours. Rising up. Hands down, knees in line with your hips. From here, you're going to take your right hip up and you're just going to make circles with your knee, bringing it in towards your elbow, up and around. 2 more times, opening through the hip. 1 and 2, bringing it back down. Then the left side, making circles in towards the elbow, up and around. 3 more times. Opening through those hip flexors. Very good. From here, step your hands 1 hand distance in front of the other, and then send the hips forward, dropping them down, pulling the heart open for a cobra pose, looking up. As you exhale, send the hips back and find a rounded spine in child's pose. Allow the head to come down to your mat or to a block, pulling the hips down towards the heels. Inhale, rise up, drop the hips down, open through the chest, look up. Exhale, send the hips back, round the spine, drop the head. 1 more time, rolling forward, release down. Exhale, send the hips back. Child's pose. Rising up to all fours, this time bringing the knees as wide as your mat. Wide-legged child's pose as you pull the sit bones down towards the heels. Reach the hands forward and find a softness in the front of the chest as the head comes down. You want to open through the hips and feel like a pull of your sit bones down to the heels. So it's like someone's pressing down to open through the lower back. Just melt here for 3 breaths. Gently rising up, walking the hands towards you, knees come in line with your hips. You're going to tuck the toes and find your first downward facing dog. So pressing into thumb and forefingers, sending the hips high, heels coming down, pushing into the mat, and just finding your downward dog. Taking a few breaths here, elongating, lifting sit bones high, dropping the head, looking in between the toes. Maybe walking out the downward dog if you feel inclined to do so. Stretching through the backs of the legs if they're feeling a little tight. Bringing the heels down to neutral, you're going to take the right leg up to the sky, foot is flexed. Bend the knee, pull the heel into your bottom, and then open the knee up for scorpion pose. So So when you're in scorpion, you'll have a tendency to want to move your shoulders as well. Try to keep them in line with your mat and keep pushing through the hands so you maintain that triangle shape of downward dog. Pushing the heel in, open the hip up, and then releasing it down. Left side, left leg rises, foot is flexed. Bringing it in, opening the hip up, pushing through the hands, scorpion. Bring the leg down, and then heel toe one foot in front of the other. Come all the way to the top of your mat, stepping to the outside of your mat like we did in the first lesson, and dropping down to squat pose. Bringing the hands to the heart, using the elbows to push the knees out, and just finding comfort as best as possible in opening up through those hips, allowing the heaviness of the sit bones pulling down towards the earth and the lift of the crown of the head and the spine. Staying here for a few breaths. And then bringing the hands down, lifting the hips high, and then heel toeing the feet together, taking a halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold, stretch into the backs of the legs. Inhale, gently roll the spine all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Take an inhale here, salute the sun as the hands rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to your high plank or supported high plank. Move through Chaturanga Dandasana, your version. Exhale, send the hips back to downward facing dog. Take the right leg up to the sky. As you exhale, step to the outside of your right hand for a lizard lunge. Pull the heart forward, send the left heel back, squeeze the left glute, and then if you can, come down to your forearms to take a deep stretch into the right hip. Keep engaging the left thigh, look in front of your nose. If you want to rock back and forth to get a deeper stretch, you can. Holding here. And then walking the hands back up, walking that foot into the center of your leg, dropping the back knee down, coming to rest into your low lunge. If you want to, you can take your blocks, placing them by your feet, either on the higher edge or the lower edge, or down completely, or your hands can come down to the earth in a minute. But for now, we're just going to sit here and allow for the body to settle. Inhaling and exhaling to really deepen the stretch in the left leg. From here, hands come down, tuck the back toes, and then you're going to straighten the front leg, toes towards you, the head comes down for a forward fold. So you can use your blocks here like I showed you before, and what we'll tend to do is favor the right hip. So pull the right hip back and align your hips, square off your hips when you're in this pose. Plant the right foot down, rotate the body to the right, so you're now in a wide-legged forward fold. Drop the head down, walk the hands through the legs, and stretch the legs. From here, bring the hands back through center, rotate the toes outward, rise up, hands to hips. You're going to come to goddess pose. So your toes are in line with your knees, pelvic floor is forward, and then you're going to come to bend down into goddess, keeping a nice tall spine, hands coming to heart, holding here. Sink down on the exhale. Inhale and exhale to hold. This is a great one to do on a wall to try to keep your back nice and straight. Standing up here. Inhale, the hands rise. On the exhale, bend the left leg and come to Skandasana. Hands to heart if you can, or to the floor. Flexing the right foot and opening through the right adductor muscle. Inhale here. Exhale to sink. Press down into the right ankle, lifting up, and then exhale, coming down onto the right side. Do that one more time. Inhale to rise. Exhale to fold. This time the hands are going to come to the top of your mat, So you're back in your high lunge pose, stepping the right foot back, coming forward and moving through your flow. Upward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. Take a breath here, in downward dog. Left leg rises, inhale. As you exhale, step to the outside of your left hand, lizard lunge, pull the heart forward, squeeze the right glute. Drop down onto your forearms if you want to and stay here for 3 breaths, looking down in front of the nose. Walking the hands back up, heel toeing the left foot in, drop the back knee down. Low lunge, allow the hips to sink, hands can come to your legs. Stay here for 3 breaths. Feeling the stretch down the front of the right thigh. Inhale, the hands rise. Exhale, hands coming down to your blocks or to the floor, and then stretching through that left leg, bowing down, pulling the left hip in, left hip back, right hip forward to square off your hips. Planting the left foot down, walking the hands and the feet all the way to the right, coming down to your forward fold, hands come through the legs, and closing the eyes down. Keep pushing into the backs of the knees, lifting the sit bones high. Walking the hands forward, rotating the toes out, rising up. Hands coming up, and then exhale, goddess, knees in line with toes, pulling pelvis forward, straight back as much as you can. Hands to heart to hold for 3. For 2, sink lower if you can. For 1. Inhale to rise. Exhale, bending the right knee, Skandasana. Stretching the inside of the left, pressing down into left heel to lift up and come down. 1 more time, up and down. Hands come to top of the mat to frame the foot, stepping the left foot back, moving through Chaturanga, upward dog, downward facing dog. Very good, take a breath here. Looking to the hands, maybe seeing if you can jump or hop to the top of your mat. Take a halfway lift, inhale. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, the hands rise. Let's flow back to downward dog. Exhale all the way down. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, step or jump back to high plank. Hugging elbows in, opening the heart, sending the hips back. This time, take the right leg up to the sky. Open the hip once more for scorpion. For those of you who want to, you can keep going, stepping this foot all the way back, flipping the dog and opening with the right hand. Bring the hand back down, 3-legged dog, leg rises. And on the exhale, find yourself in pigeon pose. Right knee behind right wrist, using the block under the right hip if you need to. Settling in pigeon first, allowing the hips to come down. Okay, so if we want to, you can use your strap. You can either stay here or you can bend the left leg in, taking hold of the foot with your strap, so wrapping it around, or using your arm to pull it in towards you. Try to make sure you're still squaring off your shoulders as you do so. Really deepen the stretch. Release the leg if it's there, and then walk the hands all the way down or as far as you can, resting the head in pigeon for 3 long breaths. Walking the hands back up, tucking the back toes, right leg comes back to downward facing dog. From here, we're going to do the left side. Left leg rises, inhale, open for scorpion. Take a breath. If you want to flip the dog, Taking the leg behind you, opening up, reaching with the left hand, and then bringing the hand back down, three-legged dog, up to the sky. And then pigeon pose on the left side, using your block if you need to. Opening through the hips. Very good. Bending right knee in, taking hold with your right foot, squaring off your shoulders as much as you can. Taking a deep stretch through the right thigh. Release the leg, nice and slowly walking the hands down, resting the head for 3 breaths. And gently rising up, coming to sit onto your left sit bone. Swing the legs around, both legs out in front. Toes are flexed towards you. Let's take one forward fold. Inhale, hands rise. Exhale, hinge with the hips, lead with the heart. Allow the head to follow. Pushing into the backs of the knees if you can. Engaging the thighs. Finding the breath. Inhale to rise up. Exhale to come to lie onto your back. So from here, you're going to draw your knees into your chest, take hold of the outsides of your feet and pull your knees in towards your armpits. As you do so, you can see that my sacrum is off the mat. Try to actively pull it down so you're lengthening the lower spine. Pulling the knees in, opening through the hips for happy baby. And if you want to, you can really stretch into the legs here. So you can open them up wide. You can bend one, bend the other. You can rock side to side. Try to find that fluidity, the freedom of a baby inside a womb. And just play with the stretch and the opening of the legs. Whenever you're ready, you can join the soles of the feet together once more, placing them down close to your sit bones, as close as you can, allowing the legs to splay out. If you have your bolster, it can feel really nice sometimes to place the bolster on tops of your knees when you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, because it just puts that slight pressure and encourages the hip to open even more. So just find that place that feels good for you. Lifting the shoulders up and walking them down the spine. Bringing the hands down to the space of your hips and sending the breath there. Closing the eyes down. Taking a few slow, deep breaths in and out of your nose. Try to expand through the belly with every inhale. And just feel the sensation, the warmth of the backs of the palms moving in through the front of your belly, your hips, all the way down to your legs. Sending love, joy, pleasure, intimacy, and creativity into this space. Whenever you're ready, you can release the bolster, or you can stay here if you want to and do Shavasana with your legs like this. Otherwise, remove the bolster, join the knees in together. They might be feeling very open now. Allowing the legs to come out, the ankles to be nice and relaxed, hands and arms in line with shoulders, lifting shoulders off, walking them down, chin is up, neck is long. Let's just stay here for a few breaths, or you stay as long as you want. You can stay well after the video is done if you would like to. Shavasana is one of the most important poses in yoga and gives our bodies the opportunity to properly process the practice which has just been. Allow Allow the breath to be slow, the exhale to be long. Whenever you're ready, you can hug the knees into your chest, and you can roll to any side that you wish, just very gently making your way up into your cross-legged pose. Bringing the hands to your knees, nice tall spine, tuck the chin in, bring your hands to heart center. Take a few deep breaths, repeating the same mantra to yourself 3 times. Acknowledging the wisdom and the messages that we receive from our emotions. How powerful and special it is to feel the way that we feel, and how instead of resisting life and resisting the way that we feel, we can use these messages to guide us and to align us to a life that is full of joy and full of pleasure. Bring your hands to your third eye for all that we currently are and for all that we're yet to become. We give our humble thanks, and together we say Namaste. I hope you enjoyed today's practice, and I'll see you in the next lesson.